Alright guys, I just thought I'd do a different video this time round. I was going to do a gameplay video, but I don't know, I just felt like doing something different, and I think I'll do that for the next one. Yeah, so this is going to be overrated and underrated games, just concerning the current gen systems. I've only got a 360, so yeah, some of these games are on the PS3 anyway, or maybe all of them are, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess you could say this is a open tag video if someone wants to do a response, or maybe not, and say what games they think are overrated or underrated or whatever, or maybe not, I don't mind. Anyway, yeah, so first up, I'm going to start off with overrated games, and I've got a couple, well I've got 4 actually. So overrated games. First off, Fallout 3. Now I suppose some of these are going to be a bit controversial, shall we say. Of course, I know a lot of people really like Fallout 3, and I can understand that. You know, you're in this post-apocalyptic world that's, you know, after a nuclear war and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, that appeals to me as well. I really like it, but Fallout 3, I had a lot of issues to me. Coming from playing Oblivion, I was really excited about playing this, but then when I actually got to play this, I was a bit disappointed, and I just couldn't get into it that much. I mean, I played through it, I did get some enjoyment out of it, but I wasn't getting fully immersed in it as I thought I would. One of the things that annoyed me is like Oblivion's got some bugs and glitches. Well, let's just say Oblivion has got bugs and glitches in it, but considering how massive the world is, I know it's not as big as Morrowind, but it's massive, so you'd expect, you know, a few or some bugs and glitches in it. Now, what I couldn't understand is, yeah, I've come across a lot of bugs and glitches in Oblivion, fair enough. But Fallout 3 is like probably, I don't know, the world and everything in it and the game as a whole is probably about a quarter of the size of Oblivion, or maybe just over. You know, it doesn't really touch Oblivion in terms of the size of the world and just all the stuff that has gone into the world, the you know, the quests and all that lot. So Fallout 3 is quite, well, considerably smaller than Oblivion. Yeah, it's got far more bugs and glitches in it than I ever came across in Oblivion. And that's one of the things that I noticed, is that I just, everywhere I went, there was either a graphical glitch or a bug in it, and you know, and I just thought, well, the game as a whole is a lot smaller. The world that you're in is a lot smaller than compared to Oblivion. Yeah, it's got more bugs and glitches in it. And I was like, how does that work? You know, how's all that got past all the testers, if they even had any? And the other thing that I didn't like about it is that, like, to go into the main, like, city areas, or some of the city areas or whatever, you'd think, oh, I can just climb over this rubble, or go through this rubble, maybe go through a building and come out the other side, and then you'd be, like, within the city or whatever. No, couldn't go over the rubble, couldn't go through the rubble, couldn't go in one building and in one entrance of a building and out the other entrance of a building. No, it forced you to go underground through the sewers or what, or you know, abandoned, you know, subways or whatever, and you might or might not end up, you know, on the other side in the city, and that's what really annoyed me. I mean, it's all very well when you've got all the points on the map and you can jump to parts of the map, you know, but when you're just starting out and you just want to get inside the city, and you go in the sewer thinking it's going to bring you out in the city, but then it doesn't. It's really annoying. I found that really frustrating. It's only once you've you know, unlocked all the different places, you can just fast, you know, jump to different places. It's all right, but I found it initially very annoying because of that, because sometimes I'd go in the city with thinking, yeah, this is going to take me inside the city, and then I'd end up on the other side of the city, on the outskirts of the city, so I was kind of just getting pissed off with that. The other thing is the quests in this game. There wasn't enough side quests in this game. There are side quests in this game, but they're like kind of medium-sized quests, and there's only like, I can't remember how many exactly, but there's only like so many, and then it kind of drops off. Whereas in Oblivion, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of side quests, little side quests, medium side quests, big side quests. I mean, one of the side quests in Oblivion was, one of them took me 10 hours. 10 hours for a fucking side quest. I mean, some games today don't last like barely 4 or 5 hours long. Yeah, I did a side quest in Oblivion that was like 10 hours long. If you're wondering what side quest that was, it was a side quest called The Collector. And I just felt like this didn't have enough side quests in it, so that really pissed me off. So anyway, for that reason, I just don't think Fallout is as good as everyone makes it out to be. It's a good game, but not like, it's not massively great or anything. That's my opinion. This is all subjective because it's all my opinions. Next up, Left 4 Dead. Great 4-player co-op, but I just didn't think it was as critically good as everyone was making out to be. Yeah, I mean, it's good playing 4-player co-op, but and it is more of an online game. But all this thing with the boomers and all these, the tanks and all these other like zombies, I just thought was unnecessary. I just thought, why couldn't they just give it that bit of realism? The only like super zombie thing that I actually liked was the witch, because I liked that music, you know, the music like when you was getting near a witch and it was like do 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 do. I thought that was very scary or very atmospheric. That was the only thing I liked about it. But all these other ones like the boomer and the tank I just thought was stupid. I mean, even now I was hoping Dead Island was going to go, you know, straight, you know, straight and narrow, just doing a, you know, really realistic zombie game. But then it started putting all the stupid stuff in, and I just thought, you know what, I ain't going to buy it. And the other thing I didn't like about this was just the fact that there was no story in it. I was really expecting a story. Just because it's an online game and it's 4-player co-op doesn't mean that they should have neglected putting a story in there. This game, I thought, just absolutely begged a story. It didn't have to say, it just had to tell a story of them trying to escape and just trying to survive. It didn't have to do anything fancy. And for that reason, the fact that well, the main reason for me is because it didn't have a story in it, that I don't think it's as good as people make it out to be. Okay, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This game definitely ain't as great as everyone makes it out to be. I really didn't play it as long as I did with the first Modern Warfare, which is absolutely exceptional game. I don't know, I just didn't think it was that great. The story wasn't as good and the multiplayer wasn't as good. I didn't like the maps in it. A lot of the maps in this game for the multiplayer was absolutely rubbish. The story wasn't as tight as the first Modern Warfare, and yeah, I just didn't think it was all that great, to be honest with you. Compared to the first Modern Warfare, I was expecting quite a lot from this, but I just didn't get that much enjoyment out of it. The one good thing about this, I'd say, is all those extra little arcades, co-op missions and stuff that were in it. That was pretty good. But the story and the multiplayer definitely wasn't as good as the first Modern Warfare game, in my opinion. This game just wasn't as good as the hype made out to be, basically. Here's another one, BioShock. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like BioShock. I really enjoyed playing it, but yeah, it's got a lot of really good redeeming features, great graphics. Really great, you know, story going on, and the fact that it's got this 1940s Art Deco, you know, feel going on with the artwork and everything. I really enjoy the fact that it's kind of like, you know, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You know, kind of, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Yeah, very underwater feel to it. I just really like that, and I really like the a lot of the cutscenes and all the water flooding into Rapture at the very start of the game. But that's the problem with this game. It's like the first half is very good, the second half isn't. You do the first half and you think, oh man, this is awesome. There's a lot of cutscenes, the story's getting going, you like the graphics, you're thinking this is awesome. But by the time you get to that middle part of the game and going into the second part, it's very, very repetitive, and they don't pull out all the punches in the second half in terms of cutscenes and you know, set pieces and stuff. I think that's what the second part lacked. It lacked a lot of set pieces that I would have liked to see in the game, and the second part didn't make me feel like I was in this underwater city that was being flooded and rusting away. It just felt monotonous. You know, the second half of the game just felt very corridor shooter like, and just kind of got a bit boring. But the first part was just, you know, excellent, and I really enjoyed it. But the second part, it just started to get a little bit monotonous. They didn't carry through all the things I wanted to see in it. I think the biggest thing for me was it did turn into a corridor, you know, bit of a boring corridor shooter thing, which I've played many times over before. And the fact that there wasn't enough set pieces in the game spread throughout the game. But I mean it is an enjoyable game, but I just think for that fact that it did get a bit boring and a bit monotonous and repetitive, I think you know, it's very much half a game. First half really excellent, and second half, well, pretty boring. And for that reason is why I don't think this game is as good as everyone makes it out to be. I think it's very much half a game. First half excellent, second half not very excellent, not very good. Yeah, and it's because of that reason I find that this game just didn't quite cut the mustard in you know, in my eyes. Yeah, so that's the overhyped games. Right, now for the underrated games. I've only got 3 here. I would probably have a lot more if I you know, had not traded in some of my games going back over the years. So first up, Vanquished. It really is as good as everyone. Well, it really is as good as the few people that have managed to pick this up and play it say it is. And I think that's a problem with Vanquished. Not enough people have played it. It really is an underrated game. It really is. I just cannot. Having played, I held off on this game. Let's put it that way, and I think a lot of other people probably did too. But when you pick it up and you play it, you realise that maybe you should have bought it from day one, because it really is that good, and it's got a lot of replayability. Yes, it only lasts, well, for me it lasted 6 hours long. I didn't put it on an easy setting. I just left it on medium, and it lasted me 6 hours. And you might think, 6 hours long, but it is the most action-packed, balls to the walls 6 hours that I've ever played. I think the only game that I can think of with that much action in it all the way through is Gears of War. It literally never lets up. It's like every step is something happens, and you're in the thick of the action, and everything's coming at you. And literally, like I said, the only other games that I can think of that are like that is Gears of War. Like with Gears of War, it's literally the enemies come at you and everything happens. It's absolutely relentless. It's like every step of the way, you know, shit is hitting the fan, and that's the same with this game. This game as well, even though it was only published by Sega, it very much feels like an in-house like Sega made game. It has got that Sega feel to it, and it's just a brilliant arcade, shooting third-person shooting game. It is absolutely excellent. It really is. I would really recommend picking this up. I would only recommend picking up if you've got this holographic box though, because it's really cool. And I don't get it. I've seen some of these without the holographic box. But yeah, it's an excellent game. Really arcadey. Really, it has that classic, Sega feel to it. I bought this brand new from a shop for £10. Best £10 I've ever spent. Just an absolutely brilliant game, and it really is an underrated classic, and I really do feel that more people should pick it up. I've actually got more faith in Sega over the last year or two than I have for a long time. I really think, maybe not as a developer, because I don't think they've developed that many games, but as a publisher I think they're starting to get their act together. Next up, Halo Wars. This is a funny one because again, not a lot of people seem to go for this, and I thought this was going to be really big. It very much split Halo fans. Some people obviously liked it, some people didn't. People that weren't into Halo, some people liked it, some people didn't. You had a lot of hardcore RTS people, fanboys, saying, oh well, this isn't a proper RTS. It's laughable actually, because it hasn't got all these hardcore RTS elements to it, blah blah blah. And I was just thinking, well, if you'd listen to what the developer has to say, it's not meant to be a super hardcore RTS. It's meant to be an RTS that has RTS elements, but focuses more on the action and throwing you into the action without having to worry about every micro managing thing that come with the big RTS games. And that's why I like this, is because I didn't have to literally micromanage every single little arsey little detail, and that's what I liked about this game. The other thing is, I like the fact that it was something different for the Halo games, and at the time I wasn't a big Halo fan. I enjoyed the Halo games, but I wasn't a big Halo fan. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a great RTS. It's more action orientated, and it's a shame that people didn't really give this game more of a chance. It really is a great game, to be honest with you. And lastly, Return to Castle Wolf. No, this ain't. I always say that when I talk about this game. It is Wolfenstein. Right. Return to Castle Wolfenstein, that came out for the original Xbox and PlayStation 2, was a brilliant game. It very much, Return to Castle Wolfenstein very much had this horror, first person shooter, eerie horror thing going on. And I think Return to Castle Wolfenstein had this because you was this lone guy on these lone missions trying to stop the Nazi war machine, and then delving into the occult and all that lot. You was on your own, you was on it, and you was going through these missions, and it felt very atmospheric, and I think it was that sense of loneliness, and because they did it in that horror kind of way, that loneliness it made the tension ramp up, and you didn't know what monster that was going to throw at you around the next corner, and it had this very lonely, eerie, feel to the game. Wolfenstein, however, is totally different to how they made Return to Castle Wolfenstein, which is probably why I would consider it an underrated game. People didn't really go for it as much as I think people should have gone for it. This game, Wolfenstein, is more of an arcadey, action-packed game. Think more of Call of Duty, rather than your horror style. So where Return to Castle Wolfenstein was much more akin to other games like Doom 3 in respects to the horror element to it, Wolfenstein is more of a action orientated shooter, more akin to the likes of Call of Duty, which is probably why people didn't go for it as much. It's still a great game though, it really is a great game, great graphics, great gameplay, really fun to play all the way through. I really would recommend picking up the game as well as being really action orientated. It's got a lot of these like hidden areas to the game, and in these hidden areas you'll find like schematics to upgrade your weapons. You'll find treasure to buy, different parts for your weapons to upgrade them. And it's got this, as well as this action orientated thing going on, you've got this kind of like running about the levels and trying to find all these hidden ledges and hidden areas. And I really like that, because you'd have these areas of the game where it's just ball to the walls, like action all the way through, and then you'd get back into the town where it would be very much like trying to find the next area and try to find all those hidden secrets and stuff. And I really liked that. I really liked how they did that. And I really think this is an underrated game. I mean, yeah, okay, it hasn't got that horror feel to it, and it I wouldn't say it's as good as Return to Castle Wolfenstein, but it very much is a great shooter, and it's just a brilliant, really fun shooter. And in a time where like a lot of the shooters nowadays are getting so fucking serious, where people are thinking they're proper like, trained up, army men that have just graduated from West Point. It's getting that serious. It's nice to play, a game like this where it just doesn't take itself too seriously, where it's more about having an enjoyable, fun, action-packed single-player experience, rather than playing against a bunch of people who think they're the next Rambo. You know what I mean? So that's my 3 underrated games that really should get more attention. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.